Ms. Fountain?
Mr. Chief Justice, may it please the court, my name is Tatiana Fountain. I will be representing the respondents in this matter. First, I will address whether Ms. Andrews' actions constitute symbolic speech, and next, whether the speech can be banned by a school after causing substantial disruption. This court should affirm the ruling of the circuit court. Principal Velding did not violate Marie Andrews' rights when suspending her for wearing a tuxedo to school. Marie Andrews did not engage in symbolic speech because she did not convey a particularized message, or was that message likely to be understood by others, which are the...
What about petitioner's argument that it's a mixed message here? You know, it's a mixed intent, and as long as some aspect of that intent is being understood, that it doesn't have to be a total nexus between the intent and the understanding, that satisfies the Spence test.
Well, it wouldn't, because it has to be a particular message. Like, in the case of Spence, there are 3 issues, yes, the Cambodian bombing, the Vietnam War, what happened at Kent. However, those are all violent. And by having the flag upside down with a peace symbol shows just peace in general. All of those situations go under that one broad message of peace to America.
Okay, but that's different, because the language of Spence says a particularized message, not a generalized message. So, you know, that may be a new test. Maybe we should overrule Spence and say there needs to be an overarching general message. That doesn't seem to be what Spence says. It says particularized message.
Which is peace. Peace is particular. These are 3 different issues where peace comes into mind. There's 3 different types of violence, but it's still peace that they're asking for.
Doesn't this line of argument punish those who are less articulate in conveying their message? Wouldn't we, if we were to hold against Ms. Andrews on these grounds, be saying, because you didn't convey it crisply or cleanly enough, therefore you aren't protected with that type of speech?
Can you please clarify?
Sure. If your argument is that Ms. Andrews lacked the particularized message that Spence requires, doesn't pursuing that and therefore holding against Ms. Andrews here punish those who aren't really clear when they speak? And shouldn't we protect everyone, even if they're not clear or good at conveying what it is they want to get across?
Well, that's part of the Spence test. You have to convey a particularized message, and even if you're not crisp or clear, others would have to be likely to understand that. Now, someone cannot be crisp and clear and spell it out, but others can be likely to understand it. In Maria's case, though, it was not crisp or clear, and others were not likely to understand it. She had a student text her asking as to why she was wearing the tuxedo, and she had to respond to him. It was obvious and apparent that some students didn't understand, and although Spence does not say that all students have to understand, most have to understand, and that represents most students. Faculty members were also confused as to why she was wearing the tuxedo. It was...
But how can we, I mean, are we supposed to do a sample survey of every student and ask them what they understood by her wearing the tuxedo? That just seems, a totally unreasonable standard. I mean, we're looking at the situation, well, a girl's suspended, or a girl's picture's omitted from the yearbook. You know, it seems like she established a pretty good pattern of what this tuxedo meant. I mean, why do you think she wore the tuxedo?
Well, there's a variety of different reasons, which are all equally possible. She could be wearing it to promote her uncle's tuxedo shop. She can be wearing it to promote her candidacy for class president. She can be wearing it just as a fashion statement.
What's the most likely reason she wore the tuxedo?
Those are all equally likely. She is running for class president. She did imply Amber Green's omission from the yearbook. She also had the advertisement, which her uncle not only came in and spoke to the students and gave them a discount, but there was also a flyer with another discount.
Let's look at it from another perspective. How does a student who wants to make a statement make sure that he or she is doing it in a way that is protected? If we hold for you here, it strikes me that somebody who comes into school has three clear objectives that are different, and things that they're expressing ends up unpleasantly surprised when they lose a lawsuit and they get suspended from school. So how would we make it clear to somebody who wants to have a protected expression that the Constitution protects? what they need to do to come to school and not get into the same situation as Ms. Andrews?
Well, had she specifically held up the yearbook to the page in which Amber Green's picture was missing, or had she put Amber Green's name under the slogan for her See the Big Picture campaign, it would have been more obvious. Students would have known to look to that page. However, we don't even know if it was a cause for public concern about Amber Green's yearbook picture being omitted. We don't even know if most of the students know.
Is that really what this case is about here for your side? I mean, you know, Tinker, Spence, these are about matters of great significant public concern. You know, war, international conflict, shootings at universities. I mean, is the issue here that the First Amendment is really about protecting speech that people care about? And the tuxedo thing, you know, even if it is about Ms. Green, who cares?
I'm sorry, can you clarify?
Well, I'm saying it may be helpful to you to draw a distinction between speech on clearly on matters of public concern, big political ideas, and something that's, you know, more just sort of like an interpersonal thing that very few people, if any, actually care about.
Well, a school can have an issue of public concern within the school. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the news or be worldwide. It can still be a public concern. There are issues constantly that are like that, whereas the school as a whole is having this issue and it's being talked about and brought up and everyone knows about it, whereas there's no indication that everyone knows, that anyone knows, for that matter.
About the tuxedo?
Yes, about the tuxedo, about Amber Green. There's no clear indication that it was known.
Okay, some people know about it, right? I mean,
Well, obviously
she heard
some
from
people
another
had to
student.
know.
Maria
She
heard.
heard from Amber Green herself.
I want to ask a question about the issue of disruption. So when I look at some of the circuit cases in Blackwell and Burnside, it seems like the threshold for what counts as a significant disturbance is pretty high. In Burnside, was it 30 or 40 kids show up wearing buttons, but a very controversial issue? That's not enough. In Blackwell, it's 200, and they're pushing their classmates around. That sounds much more serious to me, and then the court crossed the line there. How do you read the facts of this case as showing substantial disruption?
Of Blackwell? Sure.
No, in this case, I mean, compared to those cases, I'm just saying it looks to me like the court has been willing to accept a lot of disruption before it's ready to say you can step in.
Well, for Tinker, in order for something to be a substantial disruption, it has to violate others' rights. It also has to stop the educational environment, which it did. She had distracted the teacher when passing notes, and therefore he had to stop the class and lecture them. And he even explained that anything that a student such as Walter MacArthur thought a minor disruption, it was actually a major disruption because it's AP reviews.
But aren't you asking us then to punish Ms. Andrews for the immaturity of her classmates and the inability of her teachers to maintain their concentration?
No, however, she was warned. She was told that students couldn't handle it. She was asked not to wear it. And those are possible options. She could have come in the next day and not have worn it, but no, she continued to wear it knowing that it distracted other students. She willingly interrupted the learning environment for many other students, which violates their right to education.
I want to get back again to this question of how Ms. Andrews could have made her message in such a way that wouldn't have gotten her in trouble. And when we're talking about the disruption, is there some way that she could have shown solidarity with Ms. Green, made her campaign statement in a way that would have protected her from this disruption, that would have made her not responsible for how other people reacted to it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Is there a way that she could have acted here that would not have been disruptive? Is there some alternative way that she could have made her message that wouldn't have been disruptive?
Well, the candidacy wasn't brought into the classrooms. It happened during assemblies. There were not posters in classrooms. There were posters in the hallways. So for her to just disrupt the classroom environment in general is wrong. Had other people asked her, had she answered the question in the hallway, that would have been a different situation because there's not learning going on. There's nothing being interrupted. People pass in the hallway. They talk. They communicate. Whereas there's no need for that in class, especially during AP reviews.
So she just put on the tuxedo for the assembly, that's fine.
Yes.
But once she wears it into the classroom, that's crossing the line.
Yes, and even when she wore it in the classroom and she was asked, like not to wear it the next day, that would have been okay, but she continued to wear it the next day knowing that.
It seems to me that what is problematic about this case is that we have a student whose picture is omitted from a school yearbook for mysterious reasons at best and bigoted reasons at worst. And then a student who's trying to show solidarity with her is herself suspended for wearing a tuxedo as well. What is going on at this school? I mean, we are very hesitant to get involved in these sort of internal school disputes. But when we see a pattern of what looks like discrimination to us, that's when we sort of have to step in. And it seems that that is what's going on here, right?
It was never stated why Amber Green's picture was omitted from the yearbook, so it was wrong for her to just assume that it was because she wore a tuxedo.
Well, why else might it have been omitted?
It is unknown, but there could have been other reasons. No one flat out said to her that it was because she wore a tuxedo. Perhaps the picture had just got ruined. It still wasn't in the yearbook. They're not going to publish a picture that is distorted or that had too much, was in the light.
Morally distorted?
No, distorted in that the film had gotten ruined.
Thank you, Ms. McFarland.